There comes a point where hesitation becomes its own kind of cage for us. Okay, we've been talking, we've been dreaming, we've been preparing, and the voice within us says, enough waiting. I mean, we've been through what, close to a full week of very strong energy that has stirred hope, belief, courage, clarity, confidence. So now what's happening is the energy shifts. It goes from inspiration to dreaming of what we desire, of what we want to step into, of what matters most to us. It shifts from inspiration to power. It's all about finally aligning what we feel and think and do. And when we move from our five senses, when we move from our inner self, our gut, our intuition, our heart, the energy stops scattering in 10 different directions and it starts working for us. So we have walked through the lessons. It's now time to start building something real, something tangible from those lessons we've walked through. It Okay, I'm getting ahead of myself. We'll break down the energy. Okay, so if you're new here, we start with the numerology, and welcome. And then we'll go to the astrology, and then we will turn to the cards. So if you're not into numerology, then skip ahead a little bit. If you're not into astrology, skip that part. Take what you need to listen to or want to listen to, and I thank you for doing that. Okay, I thank you for being here. I thank you for your love and your time and your support. And for those who watch every day, you know that I've taken on a full-time commitment for a little over a week, about 10 days, and I signed all the forms, so I can't tell you what it is, and I'm more behind the scenes this time, and but that's cool too. And um I apologize for being so tired yesterday. It was such marvelous energy, and I watched my video back, and it was like, so I thank you all for that incredible support that you gave me because but I feel great today. So okay, I'm feeling great today. So let's move forward. I'm Tilly. This is Tarot with Tilly, and welcome to your daily focus, November the 6th, 2025. So the energy of the six, that's our habits, that's our behaviors, that's our mundane, in and out, our routines, our rituals. And yes, we all have rituals. We may not see it as rituals. Maybe you're the person that gets out of bed in the morning every morning and makes the bed before you do anything else. Maybe you're the person who always sets the coffee maker, preset it to go off at a certain time. So, those are all little rituals we do. How we brush our teeth is a little ritual. We always put the toothpaste on the toothbrush the same way. We always start at the same place in our mouth. So, so when you start looking at that, you see where you have a ritualistic patterns happening where your subconscious just takes over and does the work for you. And this is the energy of the sixes, by noticing where we do that, where it actually keeps us tethered to an old story. It brings up fears, anxieties. So this is a time to look at what is not working and to change it, whether it's in your behaviors, your habits, or maybe it's just your routine, and that needs to change up. Now, if we look at the daily numerology, it'd be a 2 plus a 6 plus a 9, and that's our beautiful 17, making the impossible possible. We have a new sense of belief or confidence rising within us right now. So connect with that, and Listen to your body, your senses. Notice if you're holding yourself tense or if you're relaxed and laughing. Notice these things about you, because you'll start to understand where things just don't align with your flow. All of a sudden, you enter that room and you're tense, and the minute you leave, you're good to go. So, this is a time to step into your confidence, into the belief of your capabilities, your magic, your talents, your abilities. 1 plus 7 is an 8 energy. The 8 energy is about growing our prosperity. It's about growing our stature, perhaps. This is a day when we grow the respect of others through our actions, through our words, because that has to be earned. It can't be demanded upon, right? Respect is a thing that people will either give you or not give you, and it'll take a lifetime to build, and it'll take a second to completely tear it away from you. The 8 energy is about understanding how you can create more prosperity in your life. Whether it's through investments and how you manage your money, how you invest your money, how you could make more money. Maybe it's a promotion you need to go after, knowing that you have the capabilities of doing that job. Okay? Um, yeah, let's end it there. Let's jump into the astrology. The sun is in Scorpio. The moon is in Taurus first thing in the morning, but it enters Gemini by about 10:30 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. So today we have Mars once again. Mars is highlighted in the sky, sextiling Pluto. Okay, so I won't go into it a lot because I've talked so much about Mars, but Mars in Sagittarius, just moved into Sagittarius, it wants motion, it wants movement that means something. It's the part of us that's done questioning our dreams, and now we want to step into living them. And Pluto in Aquarius, well, that adds purpose and direction to that fire we feel. It sharpens it into true intentions of movement. Yeah, yeah, true intentions of movement towards what we want most in our lives. What we want most in our lives. That has been the theme this whole year. So Mars and Pluto connecting in a sextile opens doorways for us. But it's a sextile. We have to be looking. We have to be aware. We have to, I still remember my son pulling something out of the garbage, and it was something I was trying to manifest actually, but I didn't know that was the vehicle on which that was going to happen. Actually, a couple of things actually happened in that one thing where he pulled out and he goes, Mom, what are you doing throwing this away? You've always wanted this. Why aren't you going to go? And he says, I said, oh, it's probably just, to get you in there, and then you spend more, and I'm happy with what I got. And he says, well, you should at least go. You can always say no and walk out. And I thought, well, okay, so we'll go. So it was a very last minute thing that we decided to go. And I walked out with two things that I had been trying to manifest in my life. So that's kind of like a sextile energy. I threw it away. He happened. I thank my guides and my angels for directing my son to pull that out of the garbage and call me out on it. But you know, this energy, it can seem like it just drifts by. So if we don't actively connect with this energy, if we don't have our mindset focused on what is my next step, what should it be, what opportunities are opening up to me right now, what is right in front of me, we can easily miss these opportunities today. Somebody wants to get together for lunch, and you say, oh, I can't this week because you just didn't want to get together with them, and it ended up that they had a job. Somebody mentioned a job that you would love, and they wanted to tell you about it, but somebody else got the job by the time you did go to lunch. So anyways, So recap. Okay, let's do a recap so everybody's on the same page, because you might not have watched me, every single day, although many of you do, and I thank you for that. On Monday we had Mars trine Neptune, and that gave us faith. That gave us faith that we could chase our dreams, our goals, our passions. And on Tuesday, Mars entered Sagittarius. Okay, and so that ignites this desire, this passion for freedom and opportunities and adventures and learning experiences, new experiences. And yesterday we celebrated the full moon, right? Full moon in Taurus. And that changed the energy slightly because now we were looking more at completions and endings. Healing. But the energy also invited us to dream big, to step towards that dream, that desire. To see, like, because once you take that step, if there's anything that has been holding you back, taking that actual step will reveal to you if it's a fear, an anxiety, a limitation, a wall. We'll see what weighs us down. We'll see what keeps us tethered to the old story. Fears, anxieties, limitations, they actually stand in our way, and we may not have noticed had we not taken that first step. We didn't know what it was that was holding us back, so we were we didn't want to step out of our comfort zone and find out. We didn't know what was going to happen, but this is the energy where we want to actually do this, okay? Especially if your goals, your dreams are centered around prosperity and security. Now today Mars, once again, sextiles Pluto. And, this energy is long lasting too. This stays with us right through to the end of the weekend, I believe. Okay, and it's kind of like a stabilizer. It says, okay, all right, let's ground this now. And yes, every one of you are walking a different road. And this is energy that truly honors that. If you've already taken a step, this is where momentum begins to take root, break through the ground, starts to grow. Okay, you start to see how your faith in yourself and your belief in yourself that you were capable, that you were deserving, you see how that energy is actually starting to turn into something tangible, something real, something with form, something with shape. Okay, you're starting to see how your decisions are starting to reshape your reality. And you know what? Many of us are still standing on the edge, and there's lots of time for this yet, so don't worry about it. But this transit builds this, like we're standing on the edge of a cliff, or this transit will build that inner conviction that we need to take that step, to step out of our comfort zone, to try. Okay, it strengthens us. It reminds us that when the time comes, we'll move with clarity instead of some kind of pressure to perform. So decisions don't have to be made today, or even next week for that matter, to be honest with you. But I'm not trying to get you to delay any longer. I'm trying to get you to grab onto this energy so it can really catapult you forward. Okay, we have weeks before all of this particular energy fades, but trust me when I say something else is coming right around the corner. Anyways, Mars and Pluto together, they don't rush, okay? They focus. So focus, and you'll know that you're ready to take that. That was just like when I did my first YouTube video, right? I had no idea what I was doing. It was a dare by my kids because they told me I was too old to have a YouTube channel. And if you go back in my videos, you'll hear that story. But, and I thought, oh, I'll show them. And, I grew it. But I was so terrified of doing that, of putting myself out there. What was going to happen? And what if somebody that, doesn't know this part of who I am finds out? Because there are always those people, right? And it's usually family and relatives and things like that, right? But anyways, back to you. Yeah, I mean, this energy, Mars provides the courage. Pluto's the wisdom. It made us dig deep so that we could see, we could understand, we could claim the wisdom. And together they take all those scattered attempts that we've tried into some kind of meaningful progress. It gives us focus, it gives us awareness of what that next step is. Okay, this is passion that listens before it speaks, or confidence that doesn't need to shout. We get action from aligning with our path, but not impulse, not impulse. So if we're just starting to think about taking that step into the unknown, push our barriers a little bit out, give ourselves more room, more wiggle room to walk our path. And maybe you're halfway through making small or maybe a very significant change or two. This is where our will and our purpose come together. Our confidence rises. And this energy, it helps us to express our truth with a strength, not a domineering strength, a quiet strength. And if there's tension, just don't try and dominate. Just, set the tone. Listen first. Yeah. Start taking your ideas and start building a framework. Okay, we've been holding back in some way of really taking the initiative, pitching something very bold. And now is really a time to take that first step, however small it is. It's time to align our effort with our actual goals, our dreams, our passions, what really matters. It's a time to be who you are unapologetically and watch how life begins to rearrange itself to meet that truth. And for those of you who are doing it, and I know you are because you write to me and you tell me your story, yes. When we get the mindset of going with the flow and we're being present, life does begin to rearrange in some way to meet that truth. So ask yourself, where am I ready to turn courage into consistent effort? Okay, today's energy, it carries the courage to move, the wisdom to aim. And for some, this will feel like you're finally acting on the right decisions. Or for others, it could be the first flicker of true confidence returning after months and months of uncertainty. So, take that step today. Take a grounded, intentional step towards what matters most to you, a goal, a dream, a desire, a passion. And trust that the doors waiting ahead will start to open when our energy matches our purpose. Okay, let's go to the cards, shall we? Who do we have? Oh, look at that, the Five of Pentacles. Five of Pentacles is like, we feel like throwing in the towel because, gosh, golly gee, it's been hard. The struggle's been real. We've got the t-shirt. We've been through it. But we don't realize how close we are sitting here to the door of abundance. So it's time to stand straight and tall and not turn our back on such, this is opportunities that are around us. So stand straight and tall and believe when you take that step that something's going to show up. And if it catches your eye, be careful not to throw that in the trash. You may not have a son to come and take that out of the trash and say, and call you out on it, or a friend, or. So be careful of that, okay? So he carries total bragging rights that, he manifested it for me. So, anyways, fine by me. Look at that. We have the moon card. The moon card is our underlying energy for today. And I do believe that this energy is going to be with us, at least throughout the weekend, that these energies will hold significance for us as we walk forward. So, the moon is about our heart center. The moon is about what we truly want in our life, what makes us happy, what makes us at ease, what makes us feel secure, what makes us feel safe, to matter, to be wanted, to be needed, to be seen, to be heard. And so this is about being courageous enough to walk forward. I see that wolf, and I just think that, that's unbridled courage, and they don't stand down to nothing. They're willing to fight. And so we can, you know, do some meditations and bring the wolf into the experience you're envisioning in your mind. But this is about a straight path. Now, as we look, it kind of gets foggy. There's these two towers, these two pillars that we must walk through. But that is the opening, or maybe we choose a different path along the way. But right now it's straight, railroad tracks, straight. So where's our focus? Where is our heart leading us? And where do we need to focus the most in our life in order to bring in what we truly want? In your relationships, platonic, romantic, in your work, in your career, in your stature in the community, stature in the home, what you do, where you allow your creativity to flow. Look at all your health, your well being, your spirituality. Anyways, look at this Nine of Swords, and we worry, and we self doubt, and we think of all the ways it can go wrong. So, the blanket is at the end of the bed. All we have to do is what? Action, reach for it. We have our little teddy bear there. I'm going to say he's got a star maybe on his tummy, or maybe it's a heart. I think it's a star, though. Just to reflect your beauty. If you just, feel the safety of a best friend next to you, a partner. We're in the fetal position. We're hiding. But we think the negative. We are trained to think the negative. We are trained to think the negative. And so what happens? We go to bed at night. Okay, we've rushed around all over the place. We've had a million and one things to do. We finally get home. We eat something, maybe shower, crawl into bed, and then we're so exhausted. We hit the pillow, and all of a sudden our brain just goes crazy. The thoughts all come out. That is because we finally sat in silence. We were present and in the moment. Maybe just following our breathing for 1 minute here and 30 seconds there throughout the day. to be present, to call your awareness back to the here and now, to allow that stress to release from your body. You'll be amazed at how much stress you carry in your shoulders and stuff when you start to breathe and they drop. And you can relax. You feel the tension leaving. So when we do that during the day, we find that we sleep better at night. Why? Because we give our mind, our heart, our intuition time to talk to us and us to them. So start thinking what if and start thinking it better. What if I do that YouTube video? What if like 20 people watch it? First time out of the gate. There it is. Let's get realistic, okay? I know everybody's watching the videos of how to get like 1 million subscribers in 7 days, and people are proving it, and I guess that's the thing. I think I'm here to deliver a message, and who needs to listen at that time will be here in front of me. This is about starting to imagine. Look at that full moon. And those swords above us, that's the trials that we went through. Those are the fires, those are the struggles, those are the conflicts that we have mastered, and we need to start thinking along that line of who we are, of our accomplishments. I mean, we went through a whole period there where every single day it seemed I was saying, look at your accomplishments, look at your past. That's kind of like faded now, but you should have a list by now of some of the things that you excel at. And start thinking that you can, and it will turn out, and it more than likely will. I mean, sometimes it doesn't. Sometimes we have to walk that path to learn a lesson that we didn't know we needed to learn until it's over. And then we walk away not knowing if we even learned a lesson, but we have. We have the Lovers. How beautiful. We have the Moon and the Lovers. This is about growing our bond with something, with somebody, deepening a relationship, growing your passion, your dream, your desire, what matters most. Stepping into a brand new relationship, perhaps with the person that you will walk to the end of your path with. Maybe this is just embracing you. That person that you haven't been so nice to, and now it's changing. Now you are starting to tell yourself, yes, I am deserving. I am worthy. I put my pants on just like you when I get a time. I'm not better than anybody else, but I'm not beneath either. We're all equal. We all have talents and abilities, and we won't even go there. But this is kind of like that person that you hid, that part of you that you hide because you're not sure how it will be received, accepted, or will it be accepted? And then the fear and the self-doubt starts coming in. So anyways, third card is the Nine of Pentacles. Definitely about elevated paths here. We're growing those bonds, and we are starting to think about what if it got better than this? What if it got better than this? Because it can happen very easily if you just keep asking yourself, how can it happen? Your brain goes to work to make it happen because we're expecting it. Now, the Nine of Pentacles is a money card, so we have the energy of the 8 here. And this is one of, we're in white, so it's about new paths, but all the sunflowers in front are at peak maturity. So it's about rising past and being reborn, reset, new life, in a part of your life. Thinking about the new journey, the elevated path. And we sit there, not sure what kind of bird that is, but let's assume that bird goes and takes our message upwards. that we are finally ready to step into that path that has been waiting for us. And you know, by the time 2026 is over, you will have a new path in your life. Maybe you didn't expect it. Maybe you are trying very hard to manifest it at this moment. But every single one of you. And we won't see this just in our own personal lives, but we will see it in the world. There'll be so many changes. We're not going to be able to keep up to what's happening in the world. Okay, with everything that's out there, we will find it difficult. So, and I'm thinking, what if it was all better? What if it was more harmony within the world? What if? Yeah. Okay. Let's see. Oh, why do they do this to me? The kale leech. I'm gonna go with the kale leech. Elder, teacher, wise one, experience. Well, we've been talking a lot about our experience. And maybe it's time to start thinking that we are the teacher, the wise one, just based on what we already know. See, guess what I just realized? Yeah, I got my contacts and can't see a bloody thing here when I read. It's easy to just stare into a camera. I see that. Now I see in my monitor, I see what the picture is, so I can talk to it. Anyways, here we go. Now sit back and meditate a little bit on this card, okay? Let your focus go maybe a little relaxed and start to see the pictures within the pictures here. I thought the last deck did it, but this one, the more I sit and stare at the card, the more I see pictures within the pictures. Different things take form. And I will try and hold it up there while I look at the box. So we'll see how that goes. Okay. The word Kalich comes from the old Gaelic, I think it's Gaelic, word Kalich, which translates to the veiled one. In modern Irish and Scottish Gaelic, is it Gaelic? It means old woman or hag. The Kalich is a Celtic goddess revered for her power and wisdom, who is worshipped in Scotland, Ireland, and the Isle of Man in pre-Christian times. It was believed that the mountains and the hills of Scotland were shaped by the Kalich herself. In giantess form, as she strode across the land, dropping huge rocks from her apron. She was also responsible for the creation and care of many Scotland's rivers and lochs, carefully managing and capping the wells nightly to prevent flooding from different stories. She is a weather goddess, an ancestor goddess, a seasonal goddess, and a creator goddess. The Kalich appears as a wise elder in your life. She invites you to be open to deep learning and seeing life through a beginner's mind. You may find that you have a new teacher enter your life, or in the form of an elder, or in a life inviting you to slow down, to receive wisdom and lessons experimentally. You may also be called to spend time with the elders, or to slow down and pace your life and truly listen. This card comes with a strong and firm message to honor the elders in your life and to live through experience. If you are an elder yourself, it can also be an invitation to step more fully into your wisdom and elderhood. The soul inquiry is, how can you honor the wisdom of an elder around you. Well, I tell you, I was daddy's little girl, and I thought, I learned so much about different things through him. And yet, I'll hit a situation, I'll say, "Oh, dad used to know that. God, did he tell me? Did I forget? Did I ask?" And my mom had so many stories of growing up during World War II in Holland, right next to the wall, I guess. And, her stories were fascinating, and how much more I should have asked questions about that, because she was one of those people who would talk about all that happened to her. And the reason she did that was, she says, to know that whatever comes our way, we can stand strong and weather the storm and live to talk about it, to tell the tale. And she was strong, and she was beautiful, and people respected and admired her so much for who she was. And you would think something like that for a young girl would have damaged her forever, but the opposite. It made her strong. She jumped on a ship that I think was like a 3-month journey all by herself, not even knowing English at the time. She bought a one-way ticket. And she said that she left. They had a party the night before, but nobody woke up to say goodbye to her in the morning. And but she got her own way to the ship, and came here, and the rest is history. Hey, how about we pick a card before I look at the book? Look at that. Get busy with the bee. Get busy with the bee. Anyways, okay, let's go here. Get busy. So yeah, respect your elders. Go into a senior's home and just say, "Who doesn't have a visitor?" I'll go hang out with them for a while and ask them their stories. I mean, everybody's got a beautiful, incredible story if we just take the time to listen. It doesn't even have to be an elder, to be honest with you. But, our elders carry wisdom that, we lose. We lose every generation, because the world changes. And so our lifestyles changes. It was a time when everybody's families lived within, the grandparents lived with the parents, which lived with the kids, and get busy. Busy, active, goal setting, fertility. The happiest people are those who are too busy to notice whether they are or not. B tells you it's time to get busy. Instead of trying to get all your projects done by yourself, maybe ask for assistance. Everybody has strengths. Some are leaders, others are followers. Know what category you fit best in and use that to your advantage. You may hate to clean, others love it. You may love to organize, and maybe others really need that direction on how to best accomplish it. There shouldn't be any kind of shame in what you do or your talents. And cooperation and delegation is key with the B. Embrace B by taking small steps, but begin the project or task in front of you. Any action is an action towards fulfilling your goal. One of the most important things to remember is, if you want to be successful, is that procrastination is your biggest enemy, and delaying things sabotage your goals. So don't lose hope. Remain determined. B is also known for fertility, and this may be a sign that it's the right time to add a child to your life, or someone else close to you. Maybe they're pregnant. I would have to say this would also go for your dreams, your desires, right? To give birth to something. You may want to start an exercise program. B lets you know that in order to motivate yourself, you may need to work as a team. So instead of running on the treadmill, join a volleyball team. Instead of walking around the block by yourself, ask your neighbor to join you. Okay, the pressure you put on yourself will greatly decrease if you engage others who can help motivate you. So it is wonderful energy again for us. We should be very excited at this point. And yeah, you know what? This is the time for, which card said it, experimentation. To go out and at least try, see what happens. You know, we don't want our worst regrets to be, what if I would have tried? What if I would have stepped into that? I probably could have done it, you know. So let's find out, okay? Until we meet again, remember, I do love you.